Hey everybody, Texas Stroker here, Lance's Performance Shop, Lone Star at Mopars.com. New Year's Eve, December 30th here. And, Harbor Freight, as they often do this time of year, they put out their like no exclusions coupon thing, 15%. It's not like a crazy 20, 25, 30% type of a thing, but there was a deal that they've added sometime relatively recently, and I've always been afraid it was going to like sail away. For all I know, it could stay there and be like a staple, or it might just be limited time, but I was afraid it would be limited time, and it was this. Again, links, timestamps down below. Do with it what you will. I don't make jack off any of it. But right here, this is a 2-pack of Hercules 5 amp hour batteries, of course 20 volt. If you're set up in the 12 volt ecosystem, it's a no-go. But 20 volt if you're just jumping into it, or you get like the free tool and you want to have a backup battery, and then maybe you buy like a drill or an impact with whatever you just got. This is a pretty significant deal here. What they have it set up is 2 of these batteries for 89 bucks. I don't know why, I don't know how. My store had it marked as $84.99, so it's $5 less for whatever reason. I'm not going to complain or question it, I just take advantage of it. And if you're sitting there and thinking like, okay, 85, we'll just go with it. We'll go worst case scenario, 90 bucks, so it's 45 a battery. Well, what do they usually cost? Well, if you were to go and buy one Hercules 20 volt 5 amp hour battery, it's $75. So we take 75 and we stack it with another $75 battery. You spend $150 on batteries. Or you can buy the 2-pack, less packaging, less crud to deal with, and it's a fraction of the price, almost half off. So $10 to $15 more than one battery, you get 2. Cannot complain about that. And you're thinking like, well, hey, is this a backup? What's the deal? So here's the plan. At work, that's where I took my, it's like the first gen Hercules Impact. It doesn't have the cool lights like the one I got my nephew. Still kicking. I've done a lot of things I shouldn't have been able to do, or you wouldn't think it could do. It has a battery per se, but the problem is I took a 1/2-inch Hercules Impact there, and being the cheap, thrifty dude I am, I have one battery for 2 tools. Why? I can't run. I guess I technically could. Dual wield them, but realistically I'm going to run one or the other, right? So if I have been set up on the 1/2-inch Impact, and I come in and I need to run like that funky little BitFlex extension that works 30% of the time, I have to change batteries. Not a huge deal, but this will allow me to have both in place. Not gonna lie, I have waited a really long time for additional Hercules tools. Number one, an inflator, of which I still know nothing, a Jigsaw, which is finally in the pipeworks, and then what I really would have wanted to buy tonight that is also finally in the pipeworks. I don't remember if it's a 12 volt or a 20 volt, because the people that go to SEMA and film everything suck for the most part, and don't realize what's new and what's not new, and just go with the corporate talking points like little meat puppets. It is a die grinder, a right angle die grinder. And I'm hoping both of those tools are like in the 70, 69 range, right? I'd be happy 49 to 69, somewhere in there. But this one's going to work. It'll have a dedicated place and serve as a backup. And then this one I've kind of got here, if you're thinking like, oh, just strictly for a backup, kind of, because part 2 of this little haul is here. And see also what I just told you. I really wish I could have bought a right angle die grinder, and instead I did this. And there's a reason. You think, okay, what is this? Well, we'll cover that first. HC6 1PB, probably not going to pull anything up for you, but this is a 20 volt brushless. If you didn't see, the batteries had a 3-year warranty. This should have a 5-year warranty. This is an angle grinder. That's 4.5, 5-inch. You could technically make it. I have been 120% against a battery powered angle grinder. Don't really use them. And there's a reason for that, I assume, and rightfully so, based on what other people tell me and I read on reviews. The runtime with the batteries is going to suck. Okay, there are situations where I thought, okay, hey, if I was like called out and had to do like a fence repair or something, it would be really nice not have to lug around a generator, string an extension cord from some power source, right? That is very, very, very limited, okay? I know some people, like, this is all they do, Milwaukee, DeWalt, whatever, they just want cordless, cordless, cordless. Put the cord on my grinder, okay, and put an auto lock on my grinder, because if I'm grinding, you got to think industrial use, it's tons and tons and tons of grinding, okay. Sometimes cutting, very rarely. There's saws and shears and stuff for that, but it's usually, if I'm grinding a really freaking long time, long durations, and even if it's a short duration, it's a whole bunch of sequentially short durations that collectively adds up to be a crud ton of grinding. So again, the lock-on switch is really nice. Milwaukee's typically get me closer to 4 to 6 months, and they're slightly easier to deal with the warranty. DeWalt, I have really good luck going through the Mac guy, but I don't get as good of a deal. It's just kind of a catch-22. I haven't gone to, and keep in mind this is all corded, so the big stuff is all Makita, the 7 and 9 inch stuff, but bread and butter 4.5 inch, which we basically run 5 inch at work, it's Milwaukee corded. There was a spell where DeWalt was better, and then I did have DeWalt last the longest I've ever had an angle grinder last at work, but it wasn't exactly doing the dirty, nasty stuff, so that very well could have contributed to it. The Milwaukee's, it's just steel, carbon steel, miscellaneous, anything nasty. That DeWalt was sort of like higher end metals, right? So one, it's not used as often, it's not used as long, and it's not as dirty and nasty of a grinding job. So where does this come in? Well, sure, I can walk outside on the driveway with this thing. I can go to town. I can throw it in the car. Like, my sister has a basketball pole she's been needing me to cut down for a really long time because the wind took the top 90% of it. Something like that, this could functionally work and hopefully make it through the battery. Now, this could be great. I don't know. Maybe they've come a long way. But the reason that I bought this thing for $79.99, that was the price, is because I wanted the right angle die grinder. You're like, well, why did you want a right angle die grinder? Battery powered, seemed like you'd be an air guy. You are correct. Air 100% of the way. I will be an air tool person till the day that I can't do it anymore. And the reason for that stuff is cheap. Minimal effort and care. It lasts forever. There's no motors, there's nothing, brush, you name it. It's just, it goes, and you can neglect it and it still goes. And the only downside to the air is times like this, right? It's late at night right now, and I don't want to fire up the air compressor, okay? To grind like, 2 spots, or to prep like a 3-inch pipe, and like literally run the compressor and, buzz off, 3-inch exhaust pipe or something before I weld it. That sucks. That's why I wanted a cordless right angle die grinder. I've waited and waited at the time, like SEMA hadn't happened and I hadn't stumbled upon the picture of one at Harbor Freight. But the Mac guy, DeWalt and Mac combined, do not offer a right angle die grinder, which is kind of insane. DeWalt is a very big player in the corded and cordless tool segment, and they don't have one. They've got corded die grinders, Harbor Freight does too. Harbor Freight has a dedicated die grinder. I want right angle for what I would be doing. The probably Snap-on, I don't know. I would want to have like a week or two with the thing before I had to commit to it. Because it's a new battery platform. I'm trying really hard to not have to do that. And that brings us to candidate number 2, which is Milwaukee. And again, see also, I don't want to deal with it. I think theirs is a 12 volt. And, anyone that actually uses the 12 volt Milwaukee knows what happens. And with a die grinder, the price point is absurd in my opinion. What they're charging for that now. And then you've got all the issues And it's mainly just I've then got to have another charger, another battery platform, and I don't want to do that when this is finally going to have a Hercules solution for me. Hopefully it doesn't suck. So, in the meantime, I thought, I've kicked this around for a long time. I wanted the 15% to go on this. So 79, we'll call that $80. We would have been getting, what, $12 off, something along those lines. So it's $68, not terrible price for something. But the little chick at the Harbor Freight counter put it on this. In the past, when I've tried to like swing sweetheart of a deals with Hercules, it's always been like rejected. Like, no, you can't thank you. I don't know what it was. I don't know if they like missed it in the system or something, but I got the 15% off of that because it was 84 versus the 79 here. So I think it was like $13 off. So we did really good on the batteries. And then this thing turned out to be full price. But it's basically going to be for me to run this for maybe like 5 to 10 minutes a night. On nights like this, when I get in late, I leave work, at 7:30, I eat supper, I come out here before my feet turn to ice and I try to do something, I don't have to turn on the air compressor. If it's the weekend, if I've got a full day, the compressor is kicking on and we're running air, all right? But for those times where we have to think, hey, I've got like, maybe I can squeeze an hour in and I would just need to prep like 2 parts, I'm hoping I can do it with this, and then that mitigates the concern of the cruddy battery life. So we shall see. The selling points of this one, and the next elephant in the room, Hercules makes 2 of these. There's this one, and there's another one. You're like, well, what's the difference? Well, this is the paddle switch. Stereotypically, I hate paddle switches. Again, I am a lock-on person. I trust myself, and the convenience of the lock-on is really nice. The lock-ons do break quite frequently, again, with heavy use. Not sure, I assume they would on the Hercules as well. Both of these were out. This one was totally detached, so I got a really good feel for it. And first thing I did is promptly proceed to pinch my index finger. The second thing I did is kind of struggle with the auto lock. I'm used to Milwaukee where it's on the side. This is located on the top. You're either an auto lock person or you're not. Probably depends on how long and how often you grind. If it's any duration at all, you're probably the auto lock person like me. This grinder, with what I plan to do with it in its limited use and coupling, let's say I have a buddy come over here and he's got like a junk exhaust system and he's going to have me throw on whatever crud he's bringing over. I can come in and I can just put a cutoff wheel on this thing, and since it's not corded, okay, keep in mind I don't have a lift, so I'm doing this on my back. And everything falls in your face and on your shirt and you can't move. It just sits and smolders. But I'll basically be able to kind of freeform this thing in a way I haven't been able to do because of a cord, right? Cords are always either under the creeper or under the piece of cardboard. It just kind of sucks. So there are merits that I see to cordless. But in a perfect world, I'd still be corded or air. But this, I wanted to do something different, and as I thought about it, I was thinking, okay, put me in a weird position. Would I rather have the lock on, and then like I'm thinking of myself on my back in low clearance? Do I want to be like finessing an angle grinder down? And you know how your hoodie always like puffs up when you're laying down? Am I going to like slice and dice into my hoodie and ruin it? That's why I went with the paddle switch. I could wind up hating this thing. Again, I'm hoping it just kind of sits for limited use type of a deal, or convenience, for small jobs. But that's kind of where I drew the line. I was like, you know what, we're gonna try this out and go this direction. So yeah, that's why it's here. For better or for worse, I'm with a paddle again. If this was not powered, if this was corded, anything, it would be auto lock. Lock on, that's the direction I would go. Some of you might think, hey, you got experience with Hercules grinders. I really don't. I've never had even one of their corded ones. The corded ones do sometimes go on sale. Cordless, not so much. So the 15% kind of a big deal with Hercules power tools. But again, 4.5 or 5 inch, it's brushless. So they're going to save 45 to 50% more runtime. And we'll swing around here to the back. Again, are going to claim the intelligent communications with the batteries. This is tool only. Selling points straight from the manufacturer. Paddle switch design provides increased comfort and ease of use when operating in various positions. So did I read this beforehand? I certainly didn't. But my course of logic apparently follows someone else's course of logic as to why you would buy a paddle switch. So I'll run with it. 8,500 RPM. I do hope that the right angle die grinder is variable speed. That would be really cool. There was one I found from Astro, and I was like, this is the ticket. It's designed for like headlight polishing. And there wasn't much on it. And then I found a couple of reviews. Every single review said the batteries were junk. I kind of was curious since it came with 2 batteries for what should be a simple tool, and they were getting like 8 to 10 minutes. They said it was terrible, so I was like, yeah, well, I guess I'll wait for the Hercules still. I could get that fairly reasonable, but again, if I get like 10 minutes, it's super annoying. So quick adjust guard easily rotates for fast on the job adjustments. That's pretty much industry standard across whatever I've brought in recently. Electronic soft start brushless motor delivers smooth startups and extends tool life. We'll have to check on that again. If you grew up in an industrial setting like I did, you might appreciate a soft start. The old brushed motors kick on. I still got a couple of bigger Milwaukees. I think one of the Makita's brushed is still kicking. A lot of times when they kind of quit running or start acting funky, you can just pull the brush and sort of clean it and get another couple months out sometimes. The old Chicago electrics were that way too. They came with spare brushes, and they would actually wind up lasting longer than sometimes Milwaukee and DeWalt did. Cleanable air vents covered with wire mesh to prevent debris intake and extend tool life. Again, I don't think that's going to keep the dust out. We'll have to look at it. I didn't pay attention in the store. Optimized airflow keeps grinder motor cool during operation, extending grinder life. Again, what doesn't get hot? Air tools. Yeah, your hands get cold. Again, there's a reason that stuff lasts. I don't know why everyone's so against it. Spindle lock allows for simple, quick wheel changes. You've got compact and lightweight design fitting a variety of applications. All metal gear construction, I would hope so, holds up to the most demanding jobs. 20 volts, no load speed. Again, that is critical. That's with you not doing anything. 8,500 RPM, you bearing down on either flap disc or cutoff wheel, grinding disc, and it's going to slow down. The arbor is 5/811, and they're claiming this weighs 4.9, really. I didn't think it seemed that heavy in the store. We'll see. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and open this. We'll take a look at it and see what we think. All right, also open up both batteries. Both are on 2 bars. If we come over here, the hero of the hour, hopefully, right here, Mr. Paddle Switch. Hope we didn't do wrong. We had a decently packed manual. We'll probably never look at. It did come with a grinding wheel. This is a 5-inch, and it is... Do we just not believe in the grit? Wow. No clue. And it doesn't really matter because I'm not interested in that. But we got the ubiquitous wrench. We got a handle. The handle, a little slicker than I would like. I do believe this is kind of a different material, but it doesn't provide a ton of grip. That would be nice. Granted, a lot of times I don't even run them with a handle. That said, I went to my little consumable drawer in the Craftsman. And, I thought I had bought a whole bunch of Hercules discs. And I honestly thought I'd been using them too. The only new one I could find was right here, and it is a real aggressive 40 grit. You can kind of see there. Then this one that sort of looks like it'd be Hercules colors, it's a Warrior. I think I got that just to try because I'd never used them. Usually I buy pretty good consumables outside of stuff I had from when I was like in college, which included this crud. I don't even know if they still have this. It's a Chicago brand. The kicker is this one's been used. I don't know what I did. It would have been years ago that I would have run that one. Made in Russia. Insanity. When's the last time you saw that? I thought that was worth showcasing. But what we will do is come in and take a look at the grinder itself. It doesn't feel like 5 pounds, I will say. The guard is a little obnoxiously big, but Again, I am an advocate. I'm not one of those people that like takes the guard off with a grinding disc or a cutoff wheel. Flap disc, you know, possibly just for access, but with anything else, no. I know way too many people that take those to the forearms, the legs, they shatter and explode, and you don't know where they're going, and it's never anything pretty. So the tool itself seems decent. Kind of looks like a darker blue color. Maybe just because it's new. I'm not used to seeing it new. But right here, to me, you know, it seems like intuitive to have the switch go up, you know, and then you can come in. This is actually the opposite of that, so you've got to depress there and then hit. The benefit of these, if these break, and they often do, even with like air grinders and stuff, you have the switch. I don't know that I can show it to you too well. It's kind of right in that region, the white thing. And so you can still technically use this. Some of them are surprisingly comfortable. Some of them are like needles going into your hand. But my thoughts were, again, picturing this like snaking up, say to cut an exhaust pipe or a hanger or something. It seemed like it might be the way to do it. Right here, this would actually be the screens they were talking about. I did see that in store, wasn't thinking about it. I was just interested how it felt in hand. There's our battery terminations. Handle, obviously, we got both sides as an option. Right here, this is going to be our spindle lock. Again, quick change here, so this little lever will allow us to rotate the guard wherever we want it. We'll come in here, since we are right-handed. We'll put the handle on just to get a feel for that. All kind of standard run-of-the-mill stuff. There we go, pretty solid right out of the box, nothing crazy. If we lock this down, I can spin this off. Again, didn't have to use the wrench. We'll set that down. Let's go with the Warrior, just for the aesthetics of the color match. And I don't know what I did with it. So we're going to have to go with the Chicago. There it is. Alright. We'll drop this one. Take this guy. Spinorama. Just kind of, I guess we could run it no attachments right now. Just kind of get a feel for it. Again, I always advocate that you are careful. That you don't do anything stupid that could impact you. There's one of you, and you want to keep that in mind. So I'm just kind of curious how it kicks on with the soft start and everything. Let's just go ahead and put the flap disc, make it in my mind here. But yeah, this will primarily, outside again of like freak situations, cutting the basketball pole down comes to mind, honestly. It'll primarily be used with like some sort of a prep disc, right? Sanding, something along those lines. So, I'll get that locked. And there's a lot of slack there. I'm not a fan of that. Not a fan of what's going on with the Warrior disc, but we will take the battery, put it on. It's not objectionably heavy. Definitely adds some weight, but again, the downside is smaller and lighter the battery, the less runtime you get, which sucks. So if you were buying this for like significant use or serious work, I'd get the biggest battery they have. But, or a lot of these, you know, it's kind of up to you. This is a pretty solid deal in my opinion, the battery thing. So anyway, let's kind of hit this and see what happens. Not impressed with that so far. We're gonna have to figure out that whole lack of tension on that disc. It's spinning it, but it's freewheeling there. So anyway, I'll figure that off camera. We might dabble into something, see what it does. Again, this was 2 bars. I hate running batteries without fully charging them, just kind of like something in my head. But it does stand. That is a win. I figured it would with the battery, so that's cool. Yeah, give me a second. I'll try to straighten this thing out, and then we will go and maybe find something. I'm actually dressed nice for a change. Very rare, but we'll try to figure something out. Give me a little time. We'll be right back. All right, so playing around just a few seconds, this does seem to start soft, but it also doesn't seem very powerful to me. That's based only on in-hand and what I'm accustomed to dealing with on a daily basis at work. So we come in. So there's no, like, you know, instant stop or anything feature on this. I will tell you, like right here, you know, you think, oh no, you're going to trigger it. If you're concerned about that stuff, or you have an employee that's constantly, you know, grinding into a table, which, by the way, I know you can stop the grinders that way. That's kind of hard on them. It doesn't seem terrible. It doesn't seem great. The battery's still at 2 bars, so let me see if I can find us something to play around with here. Not gonna do it here. We'll jump over to the welding table, and maybe even just like some ends of rods or something would be good. So 1 second. All right, we got a lot going on here, and apparently everything I have that's really nasty is still in stock form, meaning it's usually 20-foot sticks I've cut down into 6 foot or longer. So what we're gonna do, if you pay careful attention to that little stain on the table, right? We got some flash rust here. If I pan that out, you're gonna see kind of the same flash rusting through there. And then also, I went ahead and threw down a little blank for you, practice welding on or something. Right there. Really, really nice looking, right? But what if you needed to, you know, join it here or run a weld on that side? I'm not gonna do much, just to kind of showcase this to you. But again, I've got some important crud over there and vehicles parked close, and I don't want a ton of stuff on the creeper I'm about to lay on. So let's just see how it does with this quick little surface rust deal. So I left the spot in the middle there. I tried to go slow and painstakingly obvious what we were doing, so you could hopefully follow and pick up on where we've been, which I think luckily shows through on the camera quite nicely. And then right here, we kind of don't have a lot of access, but we'll show you what we can get. There you go. Again, not backing into a tripod and, you know, not whacking you this way or making you look at my elbow the entire time. It's about what you're left with. So last little pass will go from this corner in. And again, there is some surface rust there. I'm not sure it's coming through super good, but you'll hopefully see it change. So yeah, where are we at with this little 2-bar battery? We're still at 2 bars. So this seems stupid, but take this and multiply it by maybe, I don't know, 4 to 5 times the duration you just saw. That's what I want to do with this on an as-needed basis. And again, this is not something I would buy as a main everyday grinder. This is not something I would suggest you buy as a main everyday grinder. This is, I'm out here late at night after work and I don't want to turn the compressor on grinder. This is potentially, if I wind up liking it, like, hey, I'm just going to grab that and I don't have to string 50-foot extension cord down the driveway. Like I said, there's added benefits of just throwing this in. If you're like mobile, you know, like service field, literal field technician, my line of work, this could be very enjoyable because, again, you don't have to fire the generator, you don't have to string cords, you just take this and go, especially if it's something quick. If you've got just a rusted and crusted bolt, piece of all thread, and you've got to cut it down the middle to free 2 pieces, this is going to be able to do that just fine. So I wanted to get it for 15% off. Apparently the 15% worked on the batteries. Had I have known that, I wouldn't have bought this because I would have bought this tomorrow. All right. I'm actually able to get to Harbor Freight right now, being off work. So we got a sweetheart deal on the batteries. Again, I was afraid it would go away. They had $5 lower than the internet price at the store, and then she took 15% off. Sadly, that means I paid full price for the grinder, which I was unaware of until I got home and looked at the receipt. But like I said, this is not an everyday. If you think, wow, you know, that grinder's great, I want an Hercules grinder, get a corded one. Okay. Outside of the stuff I just gave you, if you're in the same boat and you're like, man, it really would be nice, you know, like a buddy brings over some V-bands because he wants me to TIG weld them, I'd love to not have to fire up the air compressor. Go to town with this. The other thing I can tell you, the whole time I was fiddling around, I spent a lot of time trying to find some gunked over metal, but I just don't want to string. I don't have the space. You can't tell, but like the truck's over here. I've got 2 motors and a welder right there. There's an engine stand and a cherry picker back. I don't have the footprint to like easily set down 6 feet of metal at this moment in time. So as I jumped around the shop looking for something to demo for you, this might be my favorite thing with this thing. It's that it stands up. It's a minor thing, and you wouldn't probably want to use that in a toolbox vertically, but man, is that nice. And again, being the paddle switch, I don't have much concerns with it. Have I adjusted? Yes. Did I pinch myself the first time in the store? Yes. Kicking on again, I'm going to do this. My free hand will be here, okay, on the table, so pay attention. There's basically no kick on this thing. It's very, like I said, it kind of seems underpowered a little bit. Keep in mind, that comes from a guy that's never run his own cordless grinder until tonight. So maybe it's more powerful, maybe it's right on par. Generally, I've been pretty happy with the Hercules stuff, but using what I usually use at work, which is corded Milwaukees and DeWalts, this doesn't seem to have the get up and go. But like I said, this is going to be super nice. My home grinder is still a Firestorm Black & Decker it's the first angle grinder I ever owned, personally, you know, not at work. And that thing just does not die. I think I've had like 2 or 3 of you tell me the same thing. We probably all got them around the same time, and that has done some very nasty jobs, and it's still with me, still kicking. So this is sort of a welcome addition. Again, I think for what you just saw here, again, picture, you know, you're like the TIG welder in your friend circle, or, you know, a couple of the old guys are converting over to turbos, you know, finally, or something, and you were their welder. If they bring you, you know, V-bands, you know, and flanges and stuff, you know, after hours or on Friday, this is the type of thing you'd come out, you could knock it out, and your Saturday's free. So this will not be heavily used. It will be literally for when I don't want to turn on the air compressor. And realistically, when and if the Hercules right angle die grinder actually hits the stores, this will kind of take a back seat to that, hopefully. If that turns out to be a piece, we'll at least have this thing. There's really not enough table space for me to get you a good angle of it, but simple. And I like simple. Like I said, this probably going to spend 90% of its life until that point of a time with a flap disc. So that's all I got for you. That's what we picked up. Again, really good deal. $89 on those batteries. My store had them at $84.99 for some reason. Who am I to argue? 15% applied to that. Again, in the past, anytime I've tried to put like a discount on top of a Hercules bundle or something, they've said no, can't do it. And this time I assumed that was the case and 15% was going here. That wasn't the case. So again, kind of sucks that I got full price for this, but it is what it is. The battery deal, I guess, kind of helps offset it, but feels good in hand. Like I said, picture, if you will, you know, using this, maybe it's just a frame rail. You're going up, you're going to like drill it and put cross subframe connectors in it or something. Maybe you're going to put a cross brace, a trailer hitch. Having a grinder that is not corded or doesn't have an air hose attached, kind of nice. Again, take the guard off for a little better access with a flap disc. Pretty cool deal. So with that said, that's all I got for you. I am sure many of you have the Hercules cordless angle grinders. Maybe you have the Bauer ones. If you have Bauer, Hercules, whatever it may be, how do you like them? How do they hold up? How do they compare? Again, I can't tell you. When I tell you, like, oh, that seems underpowered, that's me thinking of corded tools at work, all right? We don't run cordless at work. It's corded, or it has an air hose attached, all right? So I can't sit there and be like, man, you know, this is snappier than my little, you know, battery-powered unit I got from the Mac guy. I can't tell you. I don't have one. So if you have this, maybe it's your home grinder, maybe it's something work provides, and you've got like DeWalt or Milwaukee fanboy you are at home. How do they compare? Again, this isn't my information now because I've already bit the bullet here, but for people watching this that are on the fence, they'll be like, oh, hey, you know, guy 3, 4, and 5 in the comment section says go Hercules because of the price or something. Tool should be 5-year. Batteries are 3-year. My local Harbor Freights, there's a couple of like jerks here and there, but like the most part, they're super nice. It's usually like Mexican ladies that are really, really nice, and you just show up, you have something wrong, they're like, oh, go get it, you know, and you go get it, and you swap it out. I don't have any issues there. Again, Milwaukee, I deal with a lot of warranty stuff on Milwaukee through work. Now they've got a deal where they're basically putting a new cord on every freaking time anything goes in. It's like 13 or 17 bucks, but still, it kind of sucks. DeWalt through the Mac guy has been great. I just send him a picture. I'm like, dude, look at this. And he's like, I'll get you a new one. And that's what he does, you know, so it's awesome. But again, you're not going to get, per se, the best prices buying your DeWalt from your Mac guy. So yeah, I think this is going to do what I want it to do. But again, I hate not being able to tell you, oh, you know, here's how it compares to A, B, and C. So many of you will have had these for quite some time. If you have, what are you doing with them? How do you like them? How have they held up? How does this compare, if you're that guy in the Hercules line? How does it compare with their corded grinder? How does it compare versus other corded grinders? Where do you find this is great? Where do you find it's worthless? Because again, you're going to eat through batteries. At least every time I've done anything with something like this. Vacuums, blowers, grind, they just eat batteries. An impact, it's different. A drill, kind of depends what you're doing, but you get decent battery life. Grinders, blowers, vacuums, they suck the life out of the batteries really fast. But again, this is your time to shine in the comment section, so please feel free to do so. With that said, that's all I got for you. LoneStarMopars.com is the website. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all 3 at Lone Star Mopars. There's a little bonus wear and tear on the Warrior. Not sure we're going to get the greatest life cycle out of this guy. To be fair, that is, you know, a drilled table, so like 5/8 on 2-inch centers or something probably. But anyway, you know the drill. Subscribe if you have not. And if you enjoyed, leave a like, leave a comment, let us know your thoughts. New videos every Wednesday and Saturday, 9 a.m. Texas time. Jump your Charger across the creek, crash down, breaking the grill guard. Hop out with your Hercules grinder, cut it up, polish it, stick weld it back together to get on the road. YouTube just might let you know we got those new videos out. With that said, thanks so much for watching. Do hope you enjoyed. Most importantly, I hope I catch you back here for more from the shop. Super awkward angles there, but yeah, I was playing around just a little bit more off camera, got the thing down to 1 bar. I figure it's going to die pretty fast. That's sort of what I expected, but we'll get the batteries fully charged, see what we think. But that's prepped the whole way. I also knocked the rod down, but that's not as exciting because it's spherical and there's less action to see. But yeah, seems decent, and we'll just have to monitor it as we go.